Good journey, everyone. Welcome to Space Oats Live, a Star Wars podcast. I am the Crucial Crew member, Jay, and we're going to talk about Star Wars this evening, as usual. We're going to go a little bit with some Today in Star Wars, because I like to do that every time I go live. Usually I do that every Thursday through Monday on my Instagram page. My Instagram handle is the Crucial Crew member, so if you are not a follower of me, please follow me there. Usually at about 2 o'clock afternoon time, Eastern Standard Time, I go live and I talk about something that happened today in Star Wars history. So join me for that. Sometimes it lasts like 15 minutes, sometimes it's like 30 minutes. It just all depends on like when I jump on. Usually I do it on my drive to work. So yeah, join me on that. Follow me on Instagram. And you'll get that as well as some other posts from myself. So so we're going to do a little bit of Today in Star Wars, and then we are going to shoot right into Ahsoka Part 4 and talk a lot about that. So hopefully you've watched it. I've watched it twice. I actually was going to queue it up here as well while I had the stream on, and I totally forgot to do that. I kind of had it ready, and then I totally forgot. So I'm going to actually like queue that up just so I can have it in the background, because that's what I like to do. So I was actually watching a little bit of The Phantom Menace a second ago. So just because it's something that happened today in Star Wars. So let's talk about that. Why don't we? Let's get into that today in Star Wars. Today, September 6th, in the year 2000. I always laugh. Anytime I have anything from the year 2000, I think of Conan O'Brien and the skit that he had. So so that's the one thing I always think about when I get that. And, Conan did that skit like years ago, and now it's way past 2020. It's 2023. My goodness, almost 2024. But we're going to go with Today in Star Wars. We're going to actually go backwards a little bit, because we're going to talk about two things. First of all, today in 2011, Heir to the Empire, the 20th anniversary edition, was released. So the reason why I want to bring this up, because this has a lot of ties to Ahsoka right now, because Heir to the Empire, obviously Thrawn, this is where his character originated. Timothy Zahn created this character for that novel. And so in 2011, the 20th anniversary at that time was released. And now look at all these years later, and we are still talking about Thrawn, anticipating, waiting for his moment to be on screen in live action. Finally, we've seen him. We've read about him so many times. We've seen him in comic book form. We've seen him in Star Wars Rebels, and now we've seen him in the live action in the trailers. But we are just waiting for him to show up in Ahsoka, and it seems like every week we just get that much closer, but it just doesn't happen. So I keep thinking that it's going to be at the end of an episode is the first time we're going to see him. So again, next week, it's probably not going to be until the end of the episode. Maybe an end cut scene. I know we're mid-season next week, and I have something really exciting that hopefully I'm going to be able to be a part of next week for that episode. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But so today in 2011, Heir to the Empire, the 20th anniversary edition was released. I remember grabbing that book right away and reading it when it first came out. I don't know if you did, but I've been a Thrawn fan ever since. I've been an Heir to the Empire fan ever since, and love it. So moving on to the year 2000. Again, the year 2000, Star Wars Darth Maul 1 was published. Now, this is no longer canon. This is as well as Heir to the Empire. The old Zahn novels are still not canon as well. But these comics, it was 4 issues. They're really great. It kind of gave us a look at Maul, like full body form. So I know that I kind of put that as a post a little while ago. I'm going to go ahead and share that screen just so you can get that art from that comic, and it really shows the amazing artwork. There we go. I think I'm good. Let's make sure everybody can see everything. Right? All right, good. That was the artwork on the cover of that comic. Really awesome look. I mean, I love the whole like face of Maul in the background, and then Maul's full body, with his lightsaber. You get the full body tattoos, which we see. What a great cover. I mean, so Dark Horse published these comics in the year 2000, published the first September 6, 2000. It was a series of 4 of the Darth Maul comics. The art was the first time we ever see a shirtless Maul. So that's what the cover featured, that artwork of that shirtless Maul there. Artist was Ian McCaig. He actually assisted with that concept art of the cover there and establishing those torso tattoos that we see there, which is really awesome. I mean, I love this. This is one of my most favorite comic book covers, honestly, just from way back. Great series. Starts off kind of just telling the little bit, not really a backstory of Maul, but just like you see him like battling in the beginning, kind of training, and then Lord Sidious comes in and basically tells him that he's got a mission for him, and Maul thinks that this is the time that they're going to reveal themselves to the Jedi, which doesn't happen until the Phantom Menace. So this is pre-Phantom Menace. And instead, he has this mission for him to go after Black Sun, which Black Sun is that crime syndicate that was from the Legend series. We haven't really heard too much of them in canon. They haven't really come to the full as they did in a lot of the Legend stories. So, yeah, maybe we'll hear about them at some point and be those individuals be brought in as well. But great 4-issue series. If you go back and read it, remember these are not canon; they're just Legend series. So keep that in mind when you're reading these comics. So that is today in Star Wars. So let's go ahead and talk about Ahsoka. Why don't we? Let's talk about Ahsoka, this week's episode of Ahsoka. Hope everybody watched it. Hope everybody enjoyed it. I think this was a lot more faster paced than the previous episode. We're getting back to more conflict between light and dark and kind of blending in the middle there as well. So a lot going on in this episode. Tell me your thoughts about this. Tell me what you're thinking about this episode. I mean, Part 4, if you know, I don't know why they did this, but if you look on the Disney Plus series, every part has the title in the main screen of Disney Plus. But this one, it omits the title for some reason. Even though once you get through the preview of the series and you go through what's happened so far, the Part 4 with the title Fallen Jedi does come up. So it starts off on Cetos, where we last find Ahsoka, Sabine, and Huang kind of stranded there because their ship was kind of damaged in that firefight above Cetos last week. So they've had to shut down all their systems just to kind of go undetected while they try to reboot everything and get things going. We see Sabine and Huang in the cockpit of this episode in the beginning, and they're trying to get things kind of going electronically. They're trying to reach out to the New Republic, trying to reach out to Hera. I'm going to go ahead and put my screen back on because I just realized that I am still showing that Maul comic series there. So I'm going to go ahead and actually change my camera view just to get a better camera here. There we go. All right, cool. So Ahsoka kind of outside of the ship, kind of meditating. Then they have this conversation, which I kind of knew where this episode was going to go just from this conversation, because Ahsoka kind of doubting Sabine here, asking her if she's going to be able to make the right choice when the time comes. And knowing that, the map. They have the map. They're getting the hyperspace coordinates to go to this other galaxy to get Thrawn. And if it comes down to it, are they going to be able to destroy the map and sacrifice finding Ezra or not? And basically, Ahsoka trying to read that from Sabine to see if she's going to be able to make that choice, which I think Ahsoka at this time believes that Ahsoka is probably going to not be able to sacrifice going after Ezra, even though Sabine basically tells her that you have nothing to worry about. I will back you. I can make the choice. I mean, she kind of says it in a way where she doesn't think that she's going to have to make the choice. She answers the question saying, "We're not going to have to make that choice." So that's kind of Ahsoka, just very closed off still. She's not the best Jedi Master trainer. I mean, she's not a Jedi. So, but Huang comes out of the ship. He basically is going to work on the ship. Ahsoka tells him to be careful. I mean, obviously she senses that they're coming after them at some point. So then we kind of get to we go back to the star map area with Balin and Shin and Morgan Elsbeth are there, and basically they're knowing that they're on the planet and they've been found. And obviously they realize, they have very little time left. Balin kind of knows that they're in trouble. He obviously knows Ahsoka very well from her reputation from back in his Jedi days. So I think this episode, the title, the Fallen Jedi title, really is focused on Balin. And if you really just like watch him, you listen to him, you kind of realize that, Morgan Elsbeth, says, I sense fear in your voice, and he says experience. So he is no Jedi. He's kind of swaying towards the dark side, but he has his own agenda. And we see this a lot through this episode, that he has his own agenda. And again, this is my feelings that he's not with, he's doing his own thing. He's kind of, I just have this feeling that he's going to turn around in the end, and possibly even side with Ahsoka at some point. Just by the way his actions were throughout this episode, with the many different choices that he made, which is pretty interesting. Sabine's still like really nervous in this episode. You see her like, getting her weapons all ready, and she's like struggling trying to find her blaster rifle like pack, and she can't find it. Ahsoka comes over and basically, again, the nerves. Ahsoka's feeling it. Katie Obe, thank you for joining, Katie. I really appreciate it. Didn't realize you were here. I think he's fully leaning towards it. You think he's fully? See, I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's in the middle. I don't think he believes in the Sith. I don't think he believes in the Jedi. I think he's in the middle, but swaying towards more of again that power that the Sith always are vying for, control. But I think he just has different ways of his motives, and I don't think I think he feels that Thrawn is not. He's not going to be on Thrawn's side. But I think he feels that Thrawn can clear a path for him, basically. So again, I think he's going to end up kind of helping in the end, more so than hurting. But I think it's going to be to his demise. So, because I think Thrawn is going to be too smart for him, which we're really going to see the amazingness of Thrawn's character by how that ends up. Uses the dark side when he needs it. I don't think he's looking for the same type of power. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Again, that's why I think that like this series is going to really dive into more of the middle, and not being fully swayed to the Jedi, to the Sith. Again, where is that middle ground? How far can you pull from the dark side? How far can you pull from the light without, kind of like that evenness? And Ahsoka's more towards the light. Balin's going to be more towards the dark, but they're kind of in that middle area, that gray area, with their powers and their thinking. You see that a lot. I mean, the aggression that Ahsoka has in that battle, by the ship, her lightsaber styles, if you noticed her stances, more so swaying towards a lot of previous Darksiders than we've seen before. The way she carries her sabers, the way she positions herself, the way she uses the Force in the battles. She's more aggressive than the Jedi were. So again, I think she is finding a balance as well. So I agree, she's finding that balance as well. So which is really making me like it. Like it's like a dark Ahsoka, which is really cool. But Huang, man, we thought we were going to lose him there for a minute. I don't know who was worried. I don't know if you were worried, but I was a little bit worried about Huang for a minute there. Thought we might have lost him in this episode. But he's really smart, and man, he can hold his own pretty good for a little bit, especially with those assassin droids. Yeah, so that battle was really cool, really quick in the beginning there, but set up a really awesome part of this story. We then flipped back towards the New Republic fleet. We got Hera, Jason, Syndulla, and Chopper kind of heading towards the Ghost. Finally getting to see the Ghost in full form now, not just the Phantom. So this is really cool to be able to have this come into play this episode with really seeing the Ghost in action a little bit. I mean, not really in action, but at least getting to see the Ghost, the full cockpit, everything. Reminiscent again of that epilogue of Rebels, with Jason in the co-pilot seat and Hera in the pilot seat, with Chopper in the back, which was really cool to be able to see this. And just that mother-son relationship is really, I'm loving it. I'm loving Jason being added into the story a little bit. And then, of course, we have Carson returning, from Mandalorian fame, from Rebel X-Wing pilot of the New Republic, which everybody loves. And it's good to see him back, and he's supporting Hera, which is really cool. I am so happy they included Jason. I was really worried those first couple episodes, but it was so nice to see him finally coming on screen last week, or the week before. Or was it last week? It was last week. And then I love it that, Hera lets him pull the hyperspace lever to jump in, just something that mom would do, let their son take us into hyperspace, which is, it's so cool to see them interact. And I'm so happy to have him there. So a little bit of Kanan Jarrus there. So I love that. Yeah, Chopper was babysitting, that was funny that was mentioned in last week's episode. You could just imagine them two together, Chopper trying to keep an eye on him, and I just can't imagine Chopper as a babysitter, for one thing. So the star map, they kind of have to download the hyperspace coordinates from the map, or kind of calculate from the map to the hyperspace ring, which apparently is going to take some time. But the way that they do that was kind of interesting, how they position the hyperspace ring kind of in low orbit around the planet, to kind of align it up with the route, which is was a really cool way to kind of showcase that, trying to calculate. It's almost like eyeballing it, but not, just kind of positioning themselves in like the right direction. And apparently it's been mentioned that if they're off, by a little bit, they could never be found again. They'll be lost themselves, which is so it really has to be precise. And obviously it takes a really hardworking computer to be able to do this, and it takes some time. So obviously the assassin droids didn't really slow Ahsoka and Sabine down that much, but Maruk and Shin are supposed to slow them down a little bit more. So we finally get that other battle that was in the trailer of Sabine and Shin in this episode, and I'm pretty sure that we're pretty much done, I think, of everything in the trailers except for the Thrawn clip of the extended trailer that was shown at Celebration. That's the only thing that we have not seen on screen as of yet. But it was interesting to see Ahsoka kind of go up against the Inquisitor here, and Sabine against Shin, especially since Sabine kind of failed. You would have thought that maybe they would have switched, but since they've kind of already had the battles before with Ahsoka and the Inquisitor, and then Shin and Sabine, I guess, just kind of aligning them up again as like a rematch for both of them was a good way of doing it. Kind of foreshadowed like what was to come. Ahsoka's the way she holds that saber as a samurai is just amazing. More offensive instead of defensive. So again, not like the normal Jedi techniques. Sabine kind of holding her own a little bit better this time against Shin, but still getting her butt kicked a little bit here. So obviously she has her Mandalorian gadgets to go along with her this time, which helps out. Ahsoka and the Inquisitor holding their own, and unfortunately this week had a lot of rumors debunked of that Inquisitor was somebody, which I had never really thought that. I was thinking maybe, but then I was like, I just don't think so. So I never really got on board with any of that. And we kind of, everything was just debunked when it basically. Now, it was kind of interesting to see what happened to the Sith Inquisitor. That they didn't really. They kind of disappeared, and it reminded me a little bit of the Dathomir, like Night Sister zombies, almost like in Fallen Order. When you destroyed them, they kind of just like poofed away. So almost like felt something like that happened with them. Maybe somehow Morgan Elsbeth actually kind of created them. Fallen Order, yeah, right? Did to me too. So I wonder if we're going to see more of them. It was kind of interesting. But anyway, I guess we'll learn a little bit about that, about why that happened, how that Inquisitor was created, or whatever. But I know that Ahsoka, again, in that whole battle, look at her lightsaber stances, the way she changes. She goes to a more offensive nature. Almost reminiscent of like some of the stances that Anakin had in the Attack of the Clones against Count Dooku, the way he was holding his saber, just above his head and back. Very offensive. Sabine almost kind of winning the battle with Shin, but then Shin distracting with some sort of like, almost like a samurai like fog thing, whatever you want to call it, that basically caused her to be able to get away from that battle. And then we finally get a little bit of conversation between Baylan and Ahsoka. Some of the conversation that, again, we saw in some of the trailers, some of the footage. Baylan just kind of sitting there, Obviously, he's trying to persuade Ahsoka, doing that whole join me type thing. Bringing, as all Sith do, which he's not Sith, but as all of those that sway to the dark side, trying to get someone to follow them, they always bring up their masters. It kind of felt like that conversation that Count Dooku had with Obi-Wan Kenobi on Geonosis. Talking about how Qui-Gon spoke highly of him. If Qui-Gon were here, he would possibly join him, and all these things that, just trying to get them on their side by talking about their masters. So Baylan kind of doing the same thing, bringing up Anakin, and how pretty much everybody knew Anakin, and Anakin spoke very highly of Ahsoka. So a really interesting conversation there. You learn a little bit more about Baylan, that he basically did what he had to do to survive, is what he's basically saying. So again, did he really believe in the Empire? He brought up that he lost faith at one point, so I don't really feel that he believes it. And I love his lightsaber style because it's so Knights of the Round Table. He really does have that stance of a knight, which is really cool. He knew of Anakin, but didn't actually know Anakin. Right? Yeah. Not everybody. I mean, obviously, we knew that he never crossed paths with Anakin, at least not in any stories that we've seen, because we've never come across Baylan Skoll before in any of the animated series or that we know of. So, but if you were around that time, obviously you knew about Anakin Skywalker. There's probably always rumors going around that he was the chosen one with everyone. So, but he did know of Anakin and who he became with that conversation. We see that he knows that he became Darth Vader. Obviously that kind of, and he brought that up obviously to get under Ahsoka's skin, I think, a little bit. But I love their battle is just so slow and hard. Had a lot of weight to it. It reminded me a lot of just the original lightsaber battles, just slow and hard. Like you felt like those sabers were heavy when they were holding them. They're both holding their sabers, both hands, putting all their power, their weight into it. It just really, it was a really cool saber battle. I mean, I keep watching it over and over again, and every time I'm loving that little saber battle more and more. Even though there wasn't a lot of tricks and jumps and all this stuff going on, it just had so much weight to it. So much power to it, so much aggression on both sides. Even though you do have someone more swaying to the light than the dark, you see so much anger on both sides, more so on Ahsoka's side. I mean, she's just, her facial expressions. There's just so much anger there. And yeah, I want to know a lot more about Baylan's story. I hope we get backstory. I don't necessarily want to hear the backstory here, but I hope that there's going to be maybe some prequel comics of his character. That would be nice. That would be really cool. Unfortunately, Ray Stevenson not really going to be around, but maybe we'll get a younger version of him at some point. Who knows? His choice of phrasing was very interesting. Again, twisting words to make it sound like the right choices. But then again, he probably believed it was the right choices for him. So almost like both were holding back a bit. They were, I think so, honestly. I don't think Baylan wanted to destroy Ahsoka. I think he was basically protecting the map because he wants Thrawn to return. but I don't think he wants to destroy Ahsoka. I mean, he kind of said that in the previous episode when Morgan Elsbeth basically kind of sentenced Ahsoka to death by telling that she needed to die, and he basically kind of said that was going to be a waste because there's so few Jedi left. So I don't really think that he wanted to kill her during that exchange. Ahsoka, it was interesting that star map, she can't grab it because Morgan Elsbeth must have put some sort of like spell on it or something to cause her to not be able to grab it, because obviously she's held it before, but when she tried to grab it, it kind of burns her. But then you get more of that, again, leaning to the dark side of Ahsoka when Shin comes back, and Ahsoka basically thinks that Sabine has been defeated again. So Ahsoka uses a force choke. So here again, something that a Jedi doesn't normally do. Ahsoka really showing that she is not a Jedi anymore. Basically by using that force choke and then throwing her across the area there. Katie's saying, I don't feel like he's really all in on Thrawn's return. I think maybe he wants whatever is on Peridia. Yeah, again, that other motive for him is he's looking for either that path to Peridia for another reason, or he wants to use Thrawn for another purpose and then be away with him. But I think it's going to backfire on him. Most likely involves the Force and a path to more power control, right? Yeah. But I think it's going to backfire on him. I think that's going to be his downfall, because I think Thrawn is too smart for that. And then we get that exchange. Well, we see Ahsoka go over the cliff, which is interesting. We're going to obviously find out a little bit more about this next week, because you don't really know where she goes when she falls over the cliff. And, we kind of cut to the end scene at some point and we see where she ends up, but how she gets there, not really knowing if there's a portal or something that she falls into or what happens after she goes over that cliff. Sabine here then has this choice, and Baylan uses his same techniques, and of course Sabine is she's just not. She succumbs to this attachment to Ezra. Again, that whole attachment thing always comes up with the Jedi. Was it right? Was it wrong? Should Jedi have attachment? Should they not? And kind of letting go. And Sabine's not able to destroy the star map, and she hands it over so that she could possibly get that pathway to go with them and possibly be able to save Ezra and bring Ezra back. So Baylan, again, showing his good side here, because once the star map's handed over, a true Sith would have just struck her down. He's already got a pupil, but he sees another motive here, possibly taking her on as an apprentice, which he kind of alludes to a little bit at the end. And by basically saying that Ahsoka was her former master. And he saves her life because Shin wakes up and starts to force choke Sabine, and he tells her to stop. So, this is an interesting. She seems like she's more dark side than he is, which is interesting. But man, the costumes are just so great. Everything about this is so great. They finally finished the calculations. Obviously, to the star map, getting those uploaded to the hyperspace ring. Ahsoka arrives with the X-Wings, kind of ready to help out in whatever situation. Huang basically lets them know that, they're about to jump into hyperspace and they need to stop the hyperspace ring from leaving. But a little bit too late for that. The hyperspace ring basically prepares to jump, even though they're like right in the middle. And obviously, since they're kind of right in the middle of the ring, they basically just go right through them. And it really does obviously mess up a lot of their controls. They lost a couple of X-Wings in the process. I think there was 5 originally, and then they lose 3, so there's only 2 left. Carson being one of them, so of course he's not going to be taken out. He's too big of a character to be taken out. So, and then we get that end scene. That end scene with the star map by the way, was destroyed by Balin, so that nobody can follow them. But I'm guessing that they are still going to follow them by means of the Purgle. I think the Purgle are going to be the path. And I think Ahsoka is going to learn this somehow in the World Between Worlds, which is where we see her at the end. So, she's been there once before. We've seen this before. Ezra pulled her out of Malachor and pulled her into the World Between Worlds. And so this is her second time in the World Between Worlds. On that pathway. It looks just like it did in Rebels, by the way. I mean, it just done so well. And I don't know who any of the other characters of the X-Wings or pilots, by the way. If anybody knows anybody of who they were, cameos, anything like that, not sure if those were individuals. Haven't looked into that yet. But in the World Between Worlds, she hears Anakin's voice say, "Hey, Snips." So all you Snips haters, I know a lot of people hated that in Rebels. People made it a drinking game anytime they heard Snips or Sky Guy would take a drink, which could get you in a lot of trouble because it was said a lot, especially in the beginning. But yeah, so Anakin basically there. Hayden Christensen coming back. So kind of not what I thought at all. So at first I was thinking maybe flashbacks. Then I was thinking Force Ghost. So this is kind of like a little bit of both, I guess. I mean, not really a flashback, but kind of Force Ghost-ish, I guess. More so, because if he did become one with the Force, and he's learned how to kind of navigate, that's what I'm thinking, kind of a Force Ghost. Because if maybe this is the way that the Jedi are able to kind of appear to others, is by navigating the World Between Worlds. Maybe the World Between Worlds is where their conscious or whatever survives. And that's how they're able to navigate through and commune with others, is by means of the World Between Worlds. So I guess maybe we'll learn a little bit about that. Maybe we'll get a little bit more depth of the Force and learn about life after death for those who are one with the Force or who learn that. Interestingly, the Vader theme kind of comes in at the end, which is kind of interesting. I don't know why that is. Is it Anakin? Is it somebody else projecting Anakin to make it seem like it's him? Who knows what reasons they have for this? I really do feel that it's Anakin. Maybe it's just Ahsoka's thought process, knowing that Anakin became Vader, maybe not knowing yet that Anakin redeemed himself in the end. Because if you kind of remember, this is before the Book of Boba Fett episode where Ahsoka is with Luke. So maybe she doesn't know about Luke yet. And maybe this is how she learns about Luke. Maybe she learns about his redemption in the World Between Worlds with his conversation with her, which is what my original thought process was. When everybody was saying flashbacks, I was hoping for a Force Ghost communal with Ahsoka to kind of help guide her path, letting her know that he did come, he saw his ways that were wrong, and he redeemed himself in the end, and what happened, and maybe even tells her about Luke at some point, and maybe that's how she comes to know about Luke within the Book of Boba Fett, because she doesn't really know that Luke comes to get Grogu. She just says that perhaps there's someone out there. She doesn't know that. I don't think she knows that Luke is there in the galaxy. So it's kind of interesting. So I don't know if I really like the facial reconstruction on Anakin, though, honestly. I was hoping for it to look a little bit more like Hayden from the end of Return of the Jedi, when they kind of made him the Force Ghost at the end. So, but yeah, I'm not really sure about that. But yeah, we get to see what happens next week, right? And I may actually be able to see what happens next week a little bit before anybody else. So let's talk about that for a minute. So Ahsoka is we're going up to, it's going to be episode part 5. It's going to be like mid-season, and there is going to be a fan celebration event next Tuesday in select cities across the United States. And I just realized what time it's going to be because I read it wrong. But so in Los Angeles, New York, Seattle, Boston, and Orlando, they're going to show the episode an hour before it releases on Disney Plus. So at 5:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you can get a hold of certain tickets, you can go see it ahead of anybody else. And I was able to acquire these tickets. So here in Disney, at Disney Springs, at the AMC theaters there at Disney Springs, is where it's going to be shown here in Orlando, and I have the ability to go see that. So really looking forward to it. Seeing it on screen, on the big screen, if I can, as long as nothing happens with work, which I don't think it will, but I'm hoping big time that I can get over there and see this episode. They're also doing it internationally in London, Bangkok, and Sao Paulo, Brazil. Again, it's limited screening, seating, first come, first serve, basically. And yeah, not even assigned seats. So got to get there early so you can just get in and get a good seat. So yeah, super excited about that, to be able to see Ahsoka on the big screen, which is going to be pretty amazing. So to be able to do that. So can't wait for that next week. We're going to find a lot about Anakin Skywalker coming back in this episode next week. So, and I'm going to be able to see it an hour before everybody else. So really excited about that. when I thought of it, I thought for sure it was going to be gone by the time I got to it. But it is still available. Or I don't know if it's still available. I don't know if they're gone already, but check it out. StarWars.com has the links to where you can get signed up for that and hopefully get a seat if there's any left over. I'm going to go ahead and throw up some awesome. I did this last week, but there's some newer stuff that came out with some cool GIF Ahsoka stuff that's been out. I think I shared some of this last week. Some of it, though, I think wasn't available yet. But the Black Series Ahsoka Tano from Ahsoka is 6-inch Black Series figure. Amazing likeness of Rosario Dawson there. Currently available for pre-order on Hasbro Pulse. So if you're a fan of the Black Series, you can head on over there to pre-order that. So I haven't done any Black Series. Haven't been a collector of action figures in quite some time. So just kind of ran out of space to be able to do that. So haven't acquired any of those quite yet, but maybe in my future. Who knows? But yeah, that Ahsoka Black Series, really amazing. So awesome. The Mandalorian helmet from Sabine, another Black Series premium electronic helmet by Hasbro. Looks really cool. I love this one. And if you're a helmet collector, you can add this one to your collection. You can pre-order that as well right now. The Inquisitor Mark. These are the fig pins. If you're a collector of pins, I am not a collector. I think I have some fig pins, but I'm not really a collector of pins that much, except for when I go to celebrations. I'll try to grab some of the exclusives there, which are a lot of fun. But so yeah, the baddie that ended tonight in a mysterious way, Mark. So yeah, you can pick that up. I think that's available now. Lego Star Wars The Ghost and Phantom 2 building set by the Lego Group. So you can build this. You have 5 minifigures with this collection, which look like Hera, Jason, Syndulla, Chopper, the Mon Calamari from Home 1, and then also that other officer that Hera was talking to at the beginning of this episode. I don't know his name, but it looks like he is the 5th character as well. We all knew that there was going to be some awesome Loth Cat stuff coming out. This is a little fun one here, a 10-inch Cootopia plush. So kind of adorable here, released by Mattel. This will be in stores in October. So got to wait a little bit for this one, but you'll be able to find this in stores, I'm guessing, pretty much anywhere. Probably be all over Disney. If you're a fan of jewelry, our new favorite droid, Huang, there is a necklace by Rock Love that is either out now, possibly, or coming soon. So I love Huang. I love this necklace. This necklace is pretty cool. So very fashionable. Love the yellow eyes. So if you're a fan of Rock Love jewelry, you can grab that. Again, previewing upcoming Thrawn, right? So we got Thrawn here, a reversible Thrawn bomber jacket by Roosevelt's. Our friends over at Roosevelt's making some great quality stuff here. Awesome jacket. I'm not really sure what's on the inside. Inside looks very interesting. of that jacket. Don't know what that is referring to, but have that. Um, this is really cool for your car. Ahsoka edition of Secret Lab skins by Secret Lab. This is a gaming chair, actually. This is a gaming chair. If you're a gamer, or if you just want a really cool computer chair, it's really cool. You can get this Ahsoka design here, which is pretty awesome. We have the Ahsoka Tano Legacy lightsabers. You can get these on Shop Disney right now. Obviously, they're not the really fancy limited edition ones with the cool boxes that came out exclusively on some of the May the 4ths, but these are the white-bladed lightsabers that you can bring home. The ones that she is currently using on the show. They are available now at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Walt Disney World Resort and Disneyland Resort, and will be coming soon to Shop Disney. Ahsoka Tano pullover hoodie for women, but you know what? Really for anybody, right? Get the full Ahsoka look with this hoodie. Got those awesome stripes of the Force sensitive Togruta on the sleeves and on the hood, and then other nods with the fulcrum emblem there. Love it. So great. So yeah, so those items are available either now or soon, or pre-order some of those things. So if you're a fan of any of that, head on over and get those awesome new things. The kiss symbol, yeah, that's what it is. I knew it looked familiar, so that's cool. Yeah, I think the Kiss are going to play a bigger role in this. I think we're going to maybe learn a little bit more about their race with some of the things upcoming with Thrawn. So, but yeah. So, I think that's it for tonight. I don't think there's anything else for me to talk about. I hope everyone is having a great week. And again, thank you for joining, Katie. Really appreciate it tonight. If you're watching this a little bit later, subscribe to this podcast. Come join me for the live streams right now every Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want a little bit less and you want a little bit of today in Star Wars happenings, head over to my Instagram page, The Crucial Crew Member. Follow me there. I do a live stream pretty much every day from Thursday through Monday. We talk about today in Star Wars happenings, and whatever other news might pop up here and there. But Ahsoka, again, looking forward to next week. I'll be seeing that a little bit earlier than everybody else, hopefully, if I can get there. And we'll be talking about that again next Wednesday. We'll also probably be talking about a crucial character pick, because I do that every now and then. Haven't done one in a while, and we're going to go do one. I don't know for what yet. I know we picked one from, Rebels last time. So I don't know what animated series we're going to do. We still got to go back and do one from Solo. I never picked one from Solo, so maybe we'll do that this month. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But until next time, watch some Star Wars, listen to some Star Wars, read some Star Wars, play some Star Wars. But most importantly, remember, may the stars light your way. Thank you guys, and have a great night.